Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Rika, you think of yourself as a normal person too often, when we're both special beings. Every child wants their birthday party to continue forever, but the party always ends. That's why children always wish for their enjoyable moments to continue for all time. But that doesn't mean they'll grieve over a party that's ended. Once they sleep, another day will come for them. Something wonderful will happen again. No one disappears like Cinderella once the party is over. What a way for you to describe my view on life. You're like a child who's crying because she doesn't want to leave the party. But there's no need to feel that sad, is there? There'll be another party. Again soon. You still hate to go through another death? But it's only like sleeping for a while, isn't it? Hanyu, don't you want to see what lies beyond the June of 1983? I would be lying if I said I didn't. But I'm more concerned about you being consumed by that thought and getting hurt because of it. You just don't understand. Without you, I'd have to live for such a long time without anyone to talk to, and I'll only be able to stare at the festival without being a part of it. No one will be able to see me. No one will be able to hear me or talk to me either. Do you have any idea how miserable and lonely that will be? But I finally found you, Rika. I can't survive without you anymore, but I can't just die like you can either. I'll have to live alone until the end of time. I'll have to be alone until someone like you shows up again. I don't want that. I can't stand the thought of it. Hanyu? Rika, please take back that heartbreaking promise you made. I don't want you to give up if this world doesn't work out for you. Hanyu, I'm sorry. I'll have to think about it for a while. I want to do what I can until the end. When that happens, I can decide what to do. If I think there's still some hope, I can go on living. But if I feel desperate enough, I can just give up. It might not ultimately be a bad thing to repeat June of 1983 over and over. Perhaps I might be blessed with another fortunate life someday. Hanyu nodded with a little satisfaction after hearing that, sensing that my feelings were starting to lean the way she wanted them. What's up, Rena? Are you plotting to take Rika-chan home with you? Hey, Kiichi-kun. Don't you think that Rika-chan seems to be feeling down? I don't know. She might still be tired from doing the dedication dance at the festival. Rika-chan was sitting all by herself, wearing a sad expression. I said she might still be tired from the festival, but that wasn't really how it looked. Satoko-chan is free now, so I thought she'd have a spring in her step. But she's been acting weird since yesterday when those two people got murdered. I wonder if something's going on. Satoko's issues are all settled now. There shouldn't be anything that's troubling her anymore. We'd thought Satoko and Rika-chan might not be able to live together if they found a new guardian for Satoko. But that problem is almost solved. Either the Sonozaki family or the Kimiyoshi family will become her guardian. Mayor Kimiyoshi is already Rika's guardian, If the Sonosaki family gets custody, Satoko will officially become Shion's little sister. Anyway, I had no idea why Rika-chan was acting so upset. I think we should ask her what's going on. But I don't want her to think that we're insensitive. But I guess you can ask her, I guess. So you're saying that it's okay for me to be insensitive? So you're saying it's okay for me to be insensitive? Rena laughed and stuck her tongue out at me. I walked up to Rika-chan and struck up a conversation. Perhaps something is still troubling Satoko, we just don't know about it. If that's the case, we need to help her. You don't look so good. Is there anything weird going on? Oh, Keiichi. Rika-chan had been daydreaming, and it took her a while to realize that I was talking to her. Do I look upset or something? Kind of. Is anything the matter? It took her a while to answer. Such a long silence had to mean yes. Keiichi, there's a poem that I want you to listen to. Don't ask me who wrote it. I just want to know what you think. Was it written by a girl named Monica from Doki Doki Literature Club? Or a dude named Flowey? Alright, let me hear it then. Rika-chan closed her eyes and recited a short poem. It went something like this. Everyone has the right to be happy, yet it's so hard to receive. Everyone has the right to be happy, yet it's so hard to fulfill. I have the right to be happy, yet it's so hard to compromise. That's a pretty interesting poem. Did you write it? Oh, I'm not supposed to ask that, huh? No, you're not. What did you think after hearing it? Everyone has the right to be happy, yet it's so hard to receive. I understand that. Everyone does have the right to be happy. But that doesn't mean that everyone can receive that happiness. Everyone has the right to be happy, yet it's so hard to fulfill. This one is a little harder to understand, but exercising that right probably refers to the process of finding happiness. Everyone has the right to work hard for their happiness, but it's not that easy for that work to bear fruit. I have the right to be happy. Yet it's so hard to compromise. I guess she's trying to talk about compromising your happiness. There's no limit to human desires. You can never stop wanting more. That's why people need to make compromises on their happiness. At least that's how I understand it. If she was trying to say that we should be satisfied with what we have, it sounds like a positive statement, but there's also a negative tone to the way it's presented. I think this poem is reflecting the feelings of the writer. I think so too. So what else did you think? She wouldn't admit it, but I'm sure Rika-chan is the one who made that poem, and it's reflecting on how she's feeling. I'm not that smart, but even I can understand that. I thought it was a sad poem. Sad? I understand the first two lines. Everyone has a right to be happy, but not everyone can become happy that easily. I think those lines are describing the difficult parts of our lives, but the last line is different. Making compromise is the same thing as giving up. The writer of this poem has given up on their happiness, compromised with reality, and trying to convince themselves they're happy. Trying to convince themselves they're happy, you say. With plenty of regrets, too. Everyone can become happy with enough effort, but she thinks that she can't. The poem reflects her hopelessness. It's very sad. Then, Keiichi, what do you think she should do? She shouldn't give up. She shouldn't give up. The writer of this poem already knows how she can be happy. It's something that she deserves. She's been thinking about how to become happy for a long time. If she really wants to be happy, she shouldn't give up. Remember, we overcame a desperate situation in only a few days. If we all work together, we can make a miracle happen. You saw it with your own eyes, didn't you? What's troubling you? Talk to me. There's something I want to talk to all of you about, But if I do that, you won't be able to live in this village anymore. Happiness for me would be to see what's beyond June of 1983 together with all of you. It wouldn't mean anything if I lived beyond this June without you. We won't be able to live in Hinamizawa anymore. Hinamizawa? Hinamizawa. Hinamizawa. Why is that? They'll kill you if they found out I talked to you. That's why I can't say anything. What do you mean? They'll kill us. Are you being threatened by someone? The word kill is not something that most people use casually. I was shocked to hear it coming from her mouth. That's why I couldn't help but raise my voice. I don't know who's the enemy and who's not. The only thing I know for sure is that someone is going to kill me. But wait, Rika-chan, talk to me. What the hell is going on? Is Teppei threatening her? No, that isn't possible. The police arrested him. And besides that, the Sonozaki family told him to never come back to the village. There's no way he could contact Rika-chan in order to threaten her. And even if that somehow was the case, Rika-chan could just talk to Mion and everything would be taken care of. But based on her expression, it seems like this is way deeper than that. I'm sorry. If I talk, you'll be dragged into this. If I lose you, I have no more reason to survive. I just can't talk to you about this. I'm not going to compromise my happiness. I don't understand what you're trying to say, but you sound... just like Satoko did a few days ago. Like Satoko? Yeah. You're thinking, it's better to be patient. You forgot the courage needed to fight. You sound like that. Weren't you the one who told Satoko to be brave over the phone? My words had clearly hurt Rika-chan's feelings. She bit her lip and went quiet for a moment. If I talk to you, you might get killed too. Well, I don't want that, but if we don't do anything, you're gonna get killed, right? We don't want a future without you either, Rika-chan. What? You may not want to get us involved, but likewise, we don't want to lose you either. We don't want to lose you either. We welcome the struggle. Besides, you know how powerful we can be together. I'm sure we can solve anything if we all work as one. Not even our combined strength can solve this problem. You don't want to talk to us because you don't want to drag us into it, right? So what you're saying is that you want to die without telling us anything? I guess that's what I'm saying. Don't think that being patient is the same thing as being brave. Remember the courage to fight. You can talk to me anytime once you organize your feelings. We'll help you. You can count on us. Thank you. Rika-chan was wearing a sorrowful smile. I could tell that she appreciated my sympathy. I don't know why, but Rika-chan is troubled by something. It's a matter of life and death for her. She can't even talk to us about it. At the very least, she won't talk to me. How was it, Keiichi-kun? Is Rika-chan troubled by something? That doesn't happen very often. Satoko? This is going to sound strange, but is there any chance that someone is threatening Rika-chan's life? What? What in the world are you saying, Keiichi-san? Rika-chama is the village mascot. People worship her. No one would ever try to kill her. What's this? What are you guys talking about? The more I talked to my friends, the stranger it seemed that someone would try to kill Rika-chan. Everyone was even more confused than I felt. Rika-chan didn't talk to me about what's troubling her, but I'm sure there's something very serious going on with her. If she really trusts us, I'm sure she'll talk to us soon. Let's believe everything she tells us if she opens her heart, okay? We all looked at each other and nodded. Another discolored notebook. Number 34. From here on, it all starts to unravel. Another discolored notebook. The Son of God promised that he would be resurrected within 3 days. Sinful men guarded his grave to make sure he would not wake up, but that was foolish of them. He meant that his spirit and his lessons would be resurrected, not his physical shell. Do not be afraid of physical death. If you achieve great things, you will live again. You will surpass death and become immortal. A demon took the Son of God to a cliff and told him to jump off. He claimed that if he was really the Son of God, a miracle would help him survive. He tried to challenge the Lord. The Lord challenges humans, but humans may not challenge the Lord. The challenge is to suspect. Suspicion will speak words of evil into your ears, and it will make you falter. Do not doubt your own achievements. Do not doubt your own life. Do not doubt your contributions. Do not let others criticize your achievements. That is the same as doubting your own life. Hifumi T. Hifumi Takano. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was Satoko and the calendar. The first one to wake up is supposed to tear yesterday's date off the calendar. Sometimes we both tear the calendar by mistake, so the date ends up 2 days ahead. Satoko likes to tear the calendar, and that makes her wake up early every morning. That would usually make me smile, but I felt devastated as soon as I saw the 22 on the calendar. It's going to happen today. June 22nd, the day I die. Good morning. Good morning, Rika. Morning, you two. You two? Are you still asleep? Meep. There's someone else living in this house other than you and I. I just said good morning to that person as well. Hey, do not try and spook me like that. Hee hee, Satoko won't be able to sleep without holding your hand tonight, Rika. Hee hee. Joke's on you, we'll be dead by then. Sometimes I feel like Satoko can see Hanyu, and it's as if the three of us are living together. That would be a lot of fun. It was time to go to school, but my body felt heavy. Today, I was going to die. Knowing that, I didn't even feel like going to school. The more I've repeated the same life, the more precisely I can detect the day of my death. I always die on the day I feel this way. Rika? We ought to get going soon. I'm taking the day off today. Rika? I heard from Keiichi-san. Are you troubled by something? Kind of, but not really. What else is there left to do? Today is the day. It's too late now. But part of me still feels like doing something. I've been in this world for only a few days. My emotions went up and down like a roller coaster. Sometimes I felt motivated to fight, and other times I felt desperate and gave up. Even though Keiichi and everyone else showed me such strength, I lacked the iron will to fight against my fate. The most confidence I ever felt was when the dice all came up 6, a fortunate coincidence that was just handed to me. I was hoping to gain courage to fight against my fate, but here I am today conceding to destiny. Keiichi told me that we can make a miracle happen if we work together, but there was something he didn't teach me. He didn't teach me how to believe in that. If I don't believe that I can make a miracle happen, I won't be able to even make even a crack in the wall of fate. It seems so simple, yet it's so difficult. I couldn't even decide whether I should be on the stage or stay off it and remain as a spectator. I told Hanyu that I haven't decided what to do after this world is over. But that's the spectator's point of view. For the people on the stage, this world is the only one. For them, the end of the world means the end of their lives. That's why they'd do anything to change their fate. That's why they can make a miracle happen. I never worked hard enough because I always knew that I could reset my life. I thought I was just one pathetic girl who couldn't change her own fate. That's why I ended up here again today. It's as if I slacked off my summer homework and woke up on the last day of vacation with nothing completed. What should I do? Should I not work on my assignment, knowing that I'm not going to make it on time anyway? Or should I do whatever I can, even though I may still get in big trouble? Perhaps a miracle will happen? Perhaps the homework will be done overnight. Miracles don't happen to homework. I have to do the homework on my own. Without effort, nothing will ever get done. Without effort, not even one question will be solved. Rika, I think you should spend your day doing what you want to. You can drink by the window all day, just the way you like doing. You're suggesting that I shouldn't do anything. Since I know I'll get in trouble anyway. For Hanyu, it's not about homework, it's more about the vacation itself. The vacation will be over, no matter how much I want it to continue. In her eyes, it's pathetic for me to make a big deal out of not completing my homework and contemplating whether I should still work on it or not. On top of that, I'm saying that I might as well die if my vacation is going to be over. If I was in her situation, I'd be laughing hysterically. Keiichi told me to seek everyone's help in order to finish my homework, but I'm not taking that offer, not only because I don't want to cause them trouble, but also because I don't want the teacher to know that I got help from them. If I was going to have regrets, I should have worked on it from the beginning. If I had no intention of working on it, I should have just relaxed without stressing so much. If I didn't care what other people thought, I should have asked for their help I shouldn't have asked for the help in the first place. Those are the three options I talked about with Hanyu yesterday. I didn't choose any of them. I've been living for over 100 years, but I still can't decide. My 100 years were wasted. Satoko, I'm not going to school today because I have a cold. Is that so? Do you want me to take your temperature? I need to rest today. Could you tell Chie that I'm not coming because I'm sick? Rika, are you really sick? Keiichi-san told me that you're worried someone is trying to kill you. I'm very concerned, you realized? Thank you. You should go now, you'll be late. Satoko looked at the clock, then looked back at me again. I'm very happy right now. I'm happy. That I'm back with everyone, and that I'm living with you again. So, if I lose you, I'll be living in a very sad world. Just think about that. The world without me. Yes, the world without you would be a very sad world. I've never thought about that. I thought about the world ended when I died. I never thought about the world after my death. That was never my concern. Anyone remember Rick and Morty and, The Prestige, the movie The Prestige. You've been prestiging yourself, Morty. But that was more so about how we're, taking over the other Rikas from other realities. You had to watch that Rick and Morty episode. I never thought about the world after my death. That was never my concern. So please, take care of yourself. It isn't just me. If anything happens to you, everyone will be sad. Satoko? Rika? I'll leave you alone for today, but please talk to me if you have something on your mind. It's kind of upsetting how you won't talk to me. Satoko seemed like she wanted to say more, but she looked at the floor instead. I know what she's trying to say. I realize how selfishly I've been living. It was wrong for me to look at this world as a stage play, but it's too late. It's too late now. Satoko left the house in a hurry. Hanyu and I were left alone inside the house. I can tell you want to be alone. I'll disappear until you call for me. Thank you. You're still yourself even after 100 years. You're not 100 years old, transcendent. You deserve to think about your life as a young girl. I don't want you to force you to think like a grown-up. It's not your fault, Hanyu. I was just being arrogant. Call me if you want to talk. You're not crying anymore? You're not going to beg me not to give up on my life. You're a stubborn person. I know it's better not to be too persistent with you. After all these years, you know me very well. I know you're already aware, but let me say this. Today is the day. Do your best. No matter what you do or don't do, this world is going to end today. But if you wish for it, you'll see a brand new day. Just like when morning comes. You might find yourself back in June of this year again, but it'd still be a brand new day. When I was younger, every day seemed so boring. Every morning I thought the same things would happen again after I woke up. This just means that it'll end up being true. Let me just tell you to live this day productively. I'm not going to say anything else to you. I knew today was the day, but it's still difficult to hear that from you. It's going to come to an end again, huh? Yes. It's going to end again. Just like always. Hanyu disappeared, and it went completely quiet inside the house. How should I spend my day? How should I end this day? Should I work on my homework knowing that I'm not going to make it on time? I only have half a day left. I have to do my best. I should think about what I can do. This world is supposed to be a happy place. People are enjoying their lives. I should have enjoyed my life more too. I don't mean that, and that I should have lived my life in blind optimism. It means that I should have enjoyed my life by fully experiencing both happiness and sadness. If I did that, I wouldn't be as worried about what to do after my death. I should have simply lived with all my might. When the time comes, it'll be over. Today, I will live. That's a very important phrase. But it sounds meaningless when I say it, because I can repeat this meaningless life as many times as I wish. While Satoko was at school, I washed the dishes. Hanyu would usually stay with me when Satoko wasn't around, but she's not here right now. It's been a while since I was all by myself. I never thought anyone could feel so lonely while washing the dishes. I'm going to die today anyway. This world is ending today. Why should I wash these dishes? That's because I'm thinking about Satoko. Who will have to move on with her life after tomorrow. About that! I will encounter a new Satoko in the next world. But I realized something after hearing what Satoko told me earlier. After I'm dead, I wonder how Satoko will move on with her life. The worlds that I've left in the past all went on without me. I wonder if Satoko will be able to cook without me. Everybody dies after you die. Except for the people that die before you die. I wonder if she can go shopping on her own. Not as a corpse. I wonder if she can wash her clothes by herself. I've been avoiding thinking about this. But Satoko and my other friends must have been overcome by sadness. It's too late for me to think about this, but I started feeling like I wanted to cry. I'm feeling like this because I don't want to leave this world. This is the world that I've always wanted. It's my hope that I can continue to live in this world beyond June 1983. After a long journey, I finally ended up in this world. But I was able to truly live in this ideal world for only one night, the night of the Minagoroshi. This world will be shattered again after I die tonight. We finally saved Satoko, and all our friends assume that our happy life has returned. However, I'm going to die tonight. They will mourn for me. We worked so hard to make a miracle happen, but they're going to lose their happy world in just one day. Am I going to start a new life in the next world as if nothing happened? I'd lived 3 days in my new world, but 3 sad days are going to pass in this world. That's no good. I can't think straight anymore. I couldn't stop the tears from flowing from my eyes. I hugged Satoko's pillow and cried. I could smell her scent. After I die, Satoko will probably hug my pillow and cry just like this. Is everyone else going to cry for me too? I'm sure they will. And they'll be sad. Not about my death. They'll be sad not because I'm dead, but because I never told them about what was troubling me so much. I wonder if they're going to feel regret. Will they wonder what they could have done to open up my heart? What they could have done to help me in my time of trouble? Will they wonder what they could have done to save me? I felt miserable and frustrated. I held Satoko's pillow and continued to cry. And then, the next moment, I heard the phone ringing. I tried to ignore it, but it wouldn't stop ringing. I picked up the phone, hoping that my friends would call to check on me. However, I heard a weird guy's voice coming from the receiver. Hello. This is Okonogi Gardeners. Is this the Furude residence? Okonogi? It was Okonogi from the Mountain Dogs. It was the first time I had received a phone call from him. I'm calling because I have something urgent to ask you. I called the school, but they told me you were sick today. Are you feeling alright? I'm not alright. This is the day I die. I knew he had no idea, or does he? But I still couldn't help but feel upset. It's only a cold. I just want to rest today. Really? Well, that's a very fortunate coincidence. What? I had no idea what made him say that. He was glad I was sick. Why is it fortunate for you if I'm home? Well, we got a tip from Tokyo that someone is planning to murder you. What do you mean? Tokyo was investigating the murder of Tomitaki-san and Takano-san. Their investigation concluded that there's a high possibility Dr. Eri is pulling the strings. Eri is behind everything? This is the first time I've heard something like this. This isn't something that happens at random. It's the very first time. That means it's not just a coincidence. I'm hearing this now because it's something that I did differently in this world. I've done many things differently in this world, though. I can't tell which decision led me to this result. You mentioning suspecting Takano in front of Okonogi. However, maybe this is something that could change my life drastically. Okonogi continued to explain to me. There had been budget cuts to their research, and they were scheduled to be shut down within a few years. Eri was strongly against that because he was embezzling their research money by requesting bigger and bigger budgets. Because they were going to cancel his research, he tried to sell the research data and make a lot of money off of it. Is that really true? I know it's hard to believe, but it is. I always thought that he was kind of suspicious himself. I think I can say with certainty that Eri is not that kind of type of person. I've been around him for years, and as far as I know, he's not a bad guy. Which means, since we know Dr. Eri is not a bad guy, and this person's saying he is, it confirms for us that Okonogi is a bad guy. And that anything he says, especially about, oh, Takano's definitely dead, probably not to be trusted. He doesn't even have the guts to be one. He pretends to be the cold-hearted for the sake of his research, but he can't shake his regrets. He's simply a nice person. It's hard to believe that he was embezzling money from Tokyo. I'm starting to be suspicious of Takano, but she's actually a nice person too. She seemed mean at times, but she could also act as innocent as a child. However, I'm starting to suspect her because Oishi told me that the body they found in Gifu might not be Takano's body. Okanogi works for Takano. That means I can't trust Okanogi. In other words, I can trust Eri because Okanogi is clearly just trying to set him up. On the other hand, if Takano isn't guilty, I could be making a huge mistake. Yet it always seemed to me as though Tomotaki and Eri were good friends. If Tokyo had suspected that Eri was embezzling money from them, Tomotaki would have treated him far more coldly. Anyway, at the very least, Tomotaki of Tokyo didn't have such a bad impression of Eri. The Eri of the Eri Institute and Tomotaki of Tokyo were good friends. Tomotaki of Tokyo and Takano of Tokyo were good friends. Takano of Tokyo and Okanogi of Tokyo were superior and subordinate. But Okanogi in Tokyo says that Tokyo is suspicious of Eri. This doesn't make sense. Everyone seems to be good friends at first glance, but the links don't connect from start to finish. Eri thinks that he has a positive relationship with Tokyo, but Tokyo is suspicious of Eri? That's just odd. The chain should be connected, but one of the links is twisted out of order. It's breaking the loop. Tokyo is conducting further investigations at the moment. We also have information that Eri is trying to use you as a bargaining chip. For that reason, we told to tighten up your security starting today. That's why I'm glad that you're home right now. There are 20 security guards patrolling the Furude Shrine in 3 shifts. You may not notice, but they're there for you. That's a lot of security. How long are you going to guard me like that? Until Tokyo feels you're no longer in danger. Until this whole case is resolved. That should have been good news for me, since today was the day I was supposed to die. This is exactly the kind of security I wanted. That's why I let Takano into the ritual storehouse. However, I have a bad feeling about this. Tokyo should be my ally, but that arrangement is just like Eri relationship with Tokyo. Everything seems in order from my end. But when you trace it the other way, it feels like something's off at some point. I have this uncomfortable feeling because I have a few uncertainties about Tokyo. Tokyo and Eri have strong ties, but they're suspicious of him? Is Eri actually a bad guy? Is Takano still alive? And is she the one who killed Tomotaki? Those questions and more made me uncertain about accepting help from Tokyo. I'd thought of Tokyo as a single organization, would move with a single intention. But in reality, they have multiple different intentions. In other words, there must be multiple. What's the word? I see it in the political section of newspapers all the time. Alright, factions. There are 2 factions in Tokyo. One that wants to remain friendly with Eri, and one that looks down on him? That would explain the irregularities I'm sensing. Maybe I've been talking to Oishi too much? If he hadn't told me that he was suspicious of Takano, would I have believed Okanogi without a doubt? Well, maybe not. Even without Oishi's theory, Okanogi still sounded very suspicious. Eri was loyal to his research on Hinamizawa syndrome. Tokyo understood this, so his relationship with the Tomotaki wasn't particularly strained. Plus, Eri isn't the type of person who would commit embezzlement. He's a law-abiding citizen with a good moral character. Of course, he has some ambition as a researcher, but that only goes as far as common sense expects any researcher to. It's nothing like the criminal aspirations that would lead to major embezzlement. A great number of the mountain dogs were going to be guarding me. This is what I've been wanting in my previous lives. But, for some reason, I couldn't be happy about it. I couldn't help but feel depressed. If this house is like an empty bird cage, then they'd be the fox with feathers stuck to its face. I don't know if I can really trust the people who are protecting me. I tried to recall more about Okanogi. The mountain dogs have been protecting me for years. Okanogi proved his skills in many of my other lives. To them, I'm something of a special existence. If something happens to me, it would be a disaster. The Eri Institute is there to keep Hinamizawa syndrome under control, and the mountain dogs are there to protect me from evildoers. So why would they try to betray me now? I thought about it for a while, but I had no idea. I just know one thing for sure. I can't feel comfortable with the protection of the mountain dogs alone. I want someone other than Tokyo protecting me, but I bet such a person wouldn't believe me. Wait, what about Oishi? I've been keeping in touch with Oishi since the other day. He still thinks that the mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa are all plotted by the village authorities. If he believes that, then he might believe that my life is in danger. For him, I'm a special person with lots of useful information. The mountain dogs hate the police, though. When I asked them to assassinate Satoko's uncle, they refused because he was being watched by the police. I would feel relieved if the police were guarding me along with the mountain dogs. That way, the dogs wouldn't be able to harm me, even if they were working for an evil faction of Tokyo. Besides that, if my suspicions toward them turn out to be baseless, more protection couldn't hurt. I'm sure that double security will keep me safe. Yes, I mean, that is a very good... I mean, especially since we do have life reset, this at least does give us extra confirmation. Either the guard dogs are good people, at which point they'll be okay with us getting help from the police. And if they're not okay with getting help from the police, then we know in the future life that they're not good people, and they do not have my best interest at heart. Either way, we learn. I understand. I'll stay home for today. Yes, please do. And please don't go out into the city and try to pick fights with delinquents. Meep. Sorry about that. Anyway, please take care of yourself. I have a cold, so may I at least go to the clinic? You never know what might happen, so please don't go near there for a while. I don't want them to inject you with anything suspicious. Erie would never do anything like that. That's what we want to believe. But you need to be careful of him until things are cleared up. So I have no choice, huh? No? You totally picked up the local dialect, Okanogi. You used it to have a Tokyo accent before. I like to think I can fix it if asked, though. But it's my job to blend with the local culture. I finished speaking with him. As soon as I hung up the phone, I opened my phone book and looked for the number of the Okinomi Police Department. It was nearly noon. It felt like the pages of the phone book were sticking to my skin. I must have been in a hurry. I really don't want to die. I want to stay in this world. I don't want to leave this perfect world. I'm trying to do something because I don't want to die. I'm trying to live with all my might. I'm trying to enjoy my life. For the first time, I was spending my last day positively without drinking wine until I was drunk. Hello, it's Oishi. Sorry for the wait. I was getting ready to leave for the Gifu prefecture. I was going to browbeat them until they owned up to botching the case. Gifu? You're talking about the Takano's body? Yeah. My colleagues are convinced that the body is Takano, but I'm still not satisfied. That's why I'm going there myself. If that body isn't Takano, this is going to be a whole different story. We can put out a search for her as a material witness, see? Fortunately, I have a lot of connections to Gifu Police Department. I'll go have a nice long talk with them. Nufu? It looked like Oishi was proactively moving forward with the investigation. If that body really is Takano, that would be sad for her, but it would give me reason to trust the mountain dogs. If that's not Takano, then it would tell me that she's part of this whole incident. No matter what the result is, it would give me some kind of hint, but only if I'm still alive. But really, it's unfortunate. Oishi's leaving for Gifu. He can't be around to protect me. Oishi? Some stranger called me today. I don't know who it was, but he said he's one of the villagers. He didn't tell you who he was? I see. Please go on. What did he tell you? He told me that someone is going to kill me. He said they'd kill me tonight at the earliest. Is that true? I see. That's not outside the realm of possibility. I see. I have to leave soon, but I'll send some officers over there. I'll tell them to keep you safe. You're home right now, right? Do you have a cold or something? Just stay home and lock your doors and windows. I'll send someone over immediately. What's wrong, Oishi-san? You'll be late for your appointment. I just got a call from Rika Furude. Someone called to warn her that she was going to be murdered. Someone is trying to kill Rika Furude? But why? I thought she was like the village mascot. It might be a warning for contacting me about the incidents in the village. I don't know if they're really trying to kill her, but she's just a young girl. I'm sure she's very frightened right about now. Plus, if we lose her trust now, that might hurt her relationship in the future. 2 or 3 officers are enough, but please send them over at once. Also get a hold of her local officer and have them reassure her some. Yes, sir. Rika Furude might have some kind of hint regarding the mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. Oishi couldn't let her die. We should head back to Hinamizawa as soon as we get to the Gifu Police Department to spill the beans. This is going to be a pretty tight schedule for our business trip. This would be a piece of cake. This is Skylark. A local police officer is on the shrine property. He's heading towards R's house. Roger. Continue observation. Encountering R. She let the officer inside. R called the Okinomi Police Department. She requested protection on her own. Did she tell them about us? She told them that she got an anonymous call. I'm sure that's made up. The Okinomi Police Department is sending a few more officers to her location. What? Doesn't she trust the mountain dogs? This is trouble. It's going to prove more difficult to continue the mission. Is it possible that she somehow found out that we're all going to murder her? Well, we're probably safe. Just tell the team to be aware of the officers. We don't want them to become suspicious of us. Roger. HQ to all units. There are police officers around Furude Shrine. Please be mindful of them. We may have to postpone tonight's mission. I'll call her, but I'm sure the Major will order a go anyway. So it was on for tonight. Everything's already set up for R to be discovered dead tomorrow morning so we can move to the next stage. But we don't want the police to suspect us. If they start suspecting you, just leave quietly. Oishi had called the officers pretty quickly. The officer who was in the area arrived with 10 minutes after I spoke with him. He asked me what kind of phone call I received today. I decided to make up a whole story. It'll all be over if they check my call history, but I'm sure Oishi won't bother doing anything like that. He thinks I'm worth protecting because I have information about the incidents in Inamizawa. The policeman is one of the villagers, so I know him very well. More officers are coming here from the Okonomiya Police Department. The officer told me to relax because he'd stay with me until then. Oishi must have thought I was frightened half to death after getting a threatening phone call. I mean, anybody would. Heck, I would. I mean, I'm not going to oh yeah, I'm all tough and no. I would definitely be scared. I am not Superman. Can't even ride a fucking bicycle without falling over. After about 30 minutes, 4 officers in plain clothes arrived at the shrine. The local officer returned to his police box. We've heard the whole story. We'll guard the shrine, so please call us if something happens. Detective Oishi will be in here this evening. I was relieved to learn that Oishi would be coming here. Thank you very much. At least one person will be downstairs. I'm sorry, but is it okay if we use your restroom? That's fine. Also, will you give us one of your spare keys, just in case? Sure, you can use the restroom too. My house is on the 2nd floor of a storage building. The 1st floor contains emergency supplies for the village. I'm happy to know that at least one police officer will be there for me. The officers confirmed the positions on the map of the shrine. 1 will be in the storage building, and 2 more will walk around the shrine property. Also, 1 more officer will be standing in front of the stairs that lead to the shrine. This world's Oishi is certainly reliable. In my other lives, Oishi tended to look at me as his enemy. However, in this world, he thinks I'm on his side. I'm sure that's because we all became friendly with him around the time we saved Satoko. It was unfortunate at the time, but perhaps the return of Satoko's uncle was a necessary event. If Okanogi was right about Eri, he wouldn't be able to come near me with 20 mountain dogs and 4 police officers protecting me. If Okanogi is the bad guy, they'd be discouraged from acting by the presence of the police. Not too different from giving garlic to a vampire. This is the best protection I've had in 100 years. Even so, I am still going to be killed tonight. I need to do whatever I can. I should struggle as hard as possible. I won't give up. I won't even think about my next life. This is what enjoying life is all about. This is what living seriously is all about. Hanyu? Are you there? I'm here. What do you think about all this? I have to admit, I've never seen anything like this before. Is it still wrong for me to expect something different this time? I'm not going to hope for anything. I'll just have to accept whatever the results is. Hanyu was still acting like a bystander. I knew she was going to say something like that. But part of me was hoping she would say something more positive. Upon hearing her say what she said, I felt a little disappointed and wondered why Hanyu refused to be anything but an onlooker. I always thought about it was normal for her to be that way, because she's a special existence. I also convinced myself I had to be an onlooker too, since I was a similar being. However, I can't just let go of everything and become a bystander. I can't become like her. I can't stop hoping for a better life. For Rika Furude. That hope was betrayed so many times, and my heart was crushed countless more. That's why I stopped expecting anything to turn out the way I wanted. So, is Hanyu the same way? Are you? Also afraid of being hurt? I've only lived for 100 years, but I know how frightening it is to have high expectations. Hanyu should also be aware of that, since she's lived far longer than me. I always thought that Hanyu was a special existence, But except for the fact that she's invisible, everything about us is the same. She has the same thoughts and feelings as everyone else, yet I still saw her as a special existence. That's why I just assumed that her mind worked in a different way. I've been living for longer than you. I know that there are more sad things than happy things in this world, and that your hopes will always be betrayed. That's why I don't want to be hurt anymore. So you're not expecting anything from this world either. I still have hope that this world might be different, but you think I'll just be killed again? How? That's not what I'm thinking. Hanyu looked uncomfortable. She had no doubts that I'd be killed again that night. That's what it means. To not have hope. But she just can't own up to it. Because she doesn't want to hurt my feelings. You're the same as Satoko. You're waiting for some stroke of luck, or some miracle to come and help you. You're afraid of fighting. You think that being patient is the same as being strong. That's how I was until just a little while ago. Hanyu looked down and bit her lip. She couldn't deny what I said. I know that you've heard it over and over. Miracles will not happen unless everyone works together. That means you have to believe too. A miracle will never happen unless everyone believes in it. What I just said sounded as though I was blaming her for the miracle not happening. Maybe I was too harsh on her. I stayed quiet and Hanyu continued to look at the floor, shaking. Then she looked up at me and spoke. I noticed sadness, but also a little bit of anger in her eyes. I can't even touch people or talk to them. You think I'm just like everyone else, even though all I can do is watch? Do you understand how it feels to not be able to be involved in anything? There was a slight severity in the tail end of Hanyu's speech. Except for me, she can't communicate with anyone in this world. She hates to be reminded of that. I'm sorry, let's stop this. I don't want to have a fight with you. I don't want to spend the rest of the time I'm alive in an argument. I don't want to argue with you either. But let me just say one thing. You're my friend. I don't want my friend to tell me not to expect too much out of my life. I'll apologize for that. Does kind of remind me. Like one of my best friends in the past tried to cheer me up. They're like, Lunar, you're actually a pretty cool guy. Yeah, just too bad your face looks like that. Like, that's thank you, I guess. It doesn't help. Yeah. But you should try respecting my opinions too. She can be very stubborn sometimes. Hanyu seems weak on the outside, but she actually has a very strong moral code, one that she wouldn't bend for anything. She apologized to me, but she wasn't being honest. She still wasn't expecting anything good to come from this world. She still thinks that I'm going to die pitifully. That's why she refuses to believe in miracles. I've been living with her long enough to read her mind. I feel bad for her in a sense. She's been living too long and lost all of her hope. Hanyu told me to call her if anything else happened and soon disappeared. I'm sure she's still around. She's probably still watching me as if she's watching a TV show. The time of my death is slowly approaching. Will I be able to survive this? It's been a long time since I faced this fear without drinking wine. I was left with nothing else to do after washing the dishes and cleaning the room. The mountain dogs and police were protecting me. Just in case I figured I should leave something behind for Satoko. Should I write down some recipes for her in the notebook? Will she be happy if I leave a will for her? I laughed at my own foolishness. No one would be happy to read a will. If I die, they'll be devastated and wonder why I didn't talk to them. That's exactly how I felt when Satoko didn't ask for any help when her uncle was abusing her. I wonder, will I be killed before Satoko even comes home? My memories of these days are never very clear. The day I die is always vague in my recollections. It's fine if I'm murdered before Sato gets home, but if I'm murdered after, then would they kill her along with me? I don't want that to happen. It's bad enough already that I end up getting killed. If Sato's murdered along with me each time, that would be too much to bear. Just how much have I ignored other people's sadness with the rash idea that the world ends when I die? Thinking about that made me feel truly ashamed of myself. I turned on the TV to try and reduce the silence, but it didn't help at all. Worse, not only did the TV not help my fears, it felt like it symbolized Hanyu and my allies, making me feel even more unpleasant. It was the past lunchtime, nearly 3 p.m. School should be out soon. I'm not there today, so they probably won't do a club activity. Satoko should be home shortly. It seems I'm going to survive until she gets home after all. If she comes home and asks me what's troubling me, I might end up telling her the truth. If I talk to someone, that person will be demoned away by the mountain dogs. That's why I've never spoken to anyone about it. I didn't want my friends to get into danger, but if Satoko was also murdered likewise in every world because she was involved with me, then we're doomed to share the same fate. It's better to know the truth than to be killed without knowing what's going on. But I'm under very strict security right now. I might be able to survive in this world. If that's the case, I shouldn't talk to Satoko about it. It won't be so easy to talk to my friends after all. Moments later, I heard a surprised yell of Satoko's coming from downstairs. She'd returned. It sounded like she was scared to see a stranger in our home. I'd have to tell her that the police were here. That would be tantamount to telling her that someone is out to kill me. I don't know how to explain it to her or how much I should tell her. However, my thoughts were soon interrupted by the noise of a crowd. Satoko hadn't come alone. I'm home. Hey, Satoko, you need to go live with the Sonozakis now, okay? Can't live here with me no more. Probably the only way you can actually stay alive. Hey, Rika? What's up with that officer downstairs? Why is that guy guarding your house? What the heck did you do? Stole the Eiffel Tower from France. Never been to France. I'm pretty sure I can't steal the Eiffel Tower. Like, I guess I'd undo a couple bolts from the bottom and pick a corner that looked a little more light, and I then lift the entire giant tower into the sky and walk it through the ocean? Mi-chan, that's not the right question. What happened to you, Rika-chan? There were some strangers on the shrine grounds, too. Oh, you saw the... Are they also police officers? This isn't normal, you know. We don't know what's troubling you, but we're all here to cheer you up. It looks like something bad is going on. Ah. I couldn't stop laughing upon seeing everyone's rush into my house, all asking the same questions. It made me feel as though being depressed all day had just been a waste of time. No, we at least got properly rested for the battle later today. Rika? What on earth is so funny? You need to explain to us what is going on. There's nothing to explain. I'm getting murdered today. And everyone goes, what? Everyone already knew that I'd been telling people about how I was going to get killed, but they were surprised to hear it from my own mouth. Hey, Rika-chan? I heard that from you yesterday. You told me that you think someone is trying to kill you. But I thought that was one of your jokes then. Now, though, you're not fooling me anymore. You have to talk to your friends. Keiji spoke with a harsh tone, as though I'd made him upset. As my friend, he must think that it's unforgivable that I didn't talk to him about it. He wasn't the only one feeling that way, though. Every single one of them was looking at me with worried expressions on their faces. Rika, everybody here saved me. Yeah, from one abusive bastard. Not from 100 dudes with AK-47s. And grenades.
and bioweapons and a government budget and military training and high tech.
I want to do something for my friends as well. I'm glad to hear that. Remember what you told me. You told me to have the courage to fight. But just look at you, you're not even fighting yourself.
That's fine.
Satoko pointed out something that I've already realized. I had no way to argue back. You told me that you put us in danger by talking to us. But all of us are already involved, no matter if you talk to us or not. That's right. We're your friends. If you're in danger, all of us are in danger too. When Satoko's in danger, we all fought for her. Remember? It's the same thing. If your life is in danger, then I think it's time for the Sonozaki family to step in. We're way more reliable than the police. Isn't that right, sis? That's right. You have to talk to us. What kind of trouble are you in? Who the hell is threatening to kill you? Who the hell is threatening to kill you? Based on how you're acting, I assume you don't even know who it is. If you did know, it wouldn't be as big of a problem. Meep. You're all so smart. You know everything even though I haven't talked to you yet. This is not a time for jokes, Rika.
Hey, I use dark humor to cope with my feelings of sadness. I guess it works well. I mean, either that or I get a pizza, I guess, and some Pepsi. It's gotta be ice cold though. Some good Pepsi.
Rika, you must talk to us. What happened? What's happened? What's this all about? You don't call the police unless you're really in danger, no? How dare you talk to the police before talking to us? Is the cause something you're uncomfortable talking to us about? Rika would never have any issue that would be uncomfortable to talk about. Calm down, Satoko. Rika-chan is the leader of the Furude family. She's worshipped as the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama in this village. She might have been in trouble for a long time even though we didn't know about it. Maybe she just didn't want to talk to us about it such trouble because we're all trying to have fun life here in this village. That's probably what it was, right? So it has something to do with Rika-chama and the village? It must involve those crazy old people who worship Oyashiro-sama. So it must have something to do with the curse of Oyashiro-sama? I know. I bet it's related to what happened to Tomotaki-san and Takano-san. Why would Tomotaki-san's murder cause Rika-chan's life to be in danger? That's too big a leap. It's crazy just to think that someone is trying to kill her anyway. Rika-chan is bound by more obligations than we know, and she probably couldn't talk about them. I'm right, aren't I? It's not a very fun topic, which is why you couldn't tell your friends, right? I cannot believe this. Is it really true, Rika? Is it really true that you're involved in Tomotaki-san's murder case? I remained silent but with my mouth open. I hadn't answered any of their questions, but they continued to ask and had eventually hit the nail on the head. It was more surprising than anything. But then again, these are, after all, my beloved clubmates. I laughed once more. My issues and my secrets are so devastating to me, but they stopped sounding like such a big deal when everyone talked about them together. They knew exactly what was going on without me saying a word. In that moment, I realized just how powerless I am. I had to tip my hat to them. Everything seems so foolish now, and so I decided to just tell them everything. If you want me to talk, I will, but I'm sure you won't believe me. We will. As long as you tell us the truth, we'll never doubt it. Everyone's expressions turned grave as they vowed not to make light of anything I told them, and so I'm going to tell them everything. I want to see if they really will believe me or not. In that case, I'll tell you. I think I'm being targeted by the same person who killed Tomotaki and Takano. Then, are they the true culprit behind the series of the mysterious deaths? I don't know about that, but probably. But it is possible. I don't understand. Why would Tomotaki-san and Takano-san's murderer also want to kill Rika? Oishi thinks Takano is the culprit. Okanogi thinks that Eri is the culprit. Either way, it sounds like someone from Tokyo is trying to kill me. I can't tell if it's Takano or Eri, but I do know that to them, I am like a trump card. In order to explain everything, I need to talk to them about the relationship between Hinamizawa, Tokyo, and the Eri Clinic. I don't think they'll believe me. It's such a ridiculous story. But who would ever believe it, if not my friends? You'll all be in danger if I talk to you about this. Are you sure you still want to hear it? Of course. If you're in danger, we're in danger. Everyone nodded at Kiichi's words. Well then. I'm going to see how everyone reacts. I'm going to ascertain what friendship is all about. With a nod of my own, I opened my mouth and began to explain. There's a disease unique to Hinamizawa. I'm not sure what it's officially called, but I've always known it as Hinamizawa syndrome. Hinamizawa syndrome. Everyone glanced back and forth at each other when I mentioned the term. They'd never heard of it before. The name Hinamizawa syndrome has actually been around since before the war. It's the general term for the severe homesickness and mental instability that people from Hinamizawa experience when outside the village. People in Hinamizawa have refused to leave the village since the era of the Onukafushi. The villagers believed that they'd be cursed by Oyashiro-sama if they left, and people who did often came back because of that curse. In general, it used to be thought of only as severe homesickness, but during the war, soldiers in Hinamizawa became mentally deranged in faraway places. That does sometimes happen in war. What was unique about the soldiers of Hinamizawa was the way they killed their own comrades and committed suicide at the end. One doctor became curious about these cases and studied those soldiers. That's when they found out it was actually a disease only found in Hinamizawa. According to this doctor, their strange behavior was not the result of their culture. It was a mental disease triggered by external circumstances. A mental disease with an external cause is different from a psychological illness. It's the result of some kind of physical disorder, and it causes people to become mentally unstable when something triggers it. There are three categories of externally caused mental diseases: traumatically induced, substance abuse induced, and chemical imbalance induced. Traumatically induced disorders are cases resulting from damage to the brain from trauma or infection that influences the mind. This is the reason personalities can change as a result of head injuries. Substance abuse, as the name suggests, refers to cases where drugs, especially alcohol or stimulants, have influenced the mind. The last category is chemical imbalance. These are cases where some ailment in the patient's body causes abnormal secretions of bodily chemicals, which then influence the brain's functions. This may sound odd, but it's been said that people tend to become depressed when they have a cold. We've all experienced the way in which physical sickness can cause a buildup of negative emotions. However, with the chemical imbalances, the cause is more direct. People's emotions aren't born from our hearts. Everyone should know logically that they're the result of chemicals secreted by the organs in our body as necessary. So when the organs operating the secretion of those emotional controllers malfunction, it causes them to secrete abnormal amounts. The thyroid gland, for example, secretes hormones that regulate emotions. When the gland is defective, the balance of those hormones becomes unstable. This can cause people to have not only a physical sickness, but also a mental sickness such as depression. People don't get mentally ill just because of mental problems. Human beings are made out of meat. We get mentally ill when that meat is defective.
Hi, I'm Lunar. I'm a defective piece of meat. Ha!
The doctor studying Hinamizawa syndrome also came up with a theory. He suggested there is a pathogen endemic to Hinamizawa that, if its hosts stray too far from the home, affects the chemicals in the brain and causes them to hallucinate. The villagers' belief in Oishiro-sama is certainly related to this endemic disease. People in Onukafushi knew about this syndrome. They knew that they couldn't survive outside the village. They also didn't want anyone else to enter the village because they would get infected too. They took this disease as a curse, not a sickness. Heck, I remember one point in the past, people used to think rabies was a curse or even a demon.
But no, it's a virus, not a demon. Though I would say certainly 1,000 years ago, if you saw a terminal rabies patient, yeah, you'd probably think they have a demon. That being said, I mean, demons are real and there are demon possessions out there, but I'm just saying most things are scientifically explainable. Like, usually a lot of stuff in the past you can, like, find. For example, I believe it was King Nimrod that spent years eating grass and thinking he was a cow. But we have discovered a bacteria that, you know, does actually do that to people. It affects the brain, so the person actually thinks they're a cow and they go outside and they just sort of start eating grass. Usually they die of malnutrition, or, you know, being in the cold. Heck, I think Alexander the Great technically died of Lockton syndrome, didn't he? So I think he took him I think it took him like 3 days to die of dehydration, during which he was, you know, locked in. So he was still awake and fully conscious and cognizant. He just couldn't move or speak. So that probably sucked. Heck, President George Washington, the first president of the United States of America. I think he died in his like 60s of pneumonia. And they were trying to treat him by giving him like medicines like balance the humors of the body. So basically they gave an elderly person with pneumonia medicine that induced vomiting and diarrhea. So, heck, it reminds me of something funny. I was watching this live stream of the dude, and he's played like Shadow of War in the past. I was like, hey, it'd be kind of cool if there was a mod of like celebrities. I'm like celebrity orcs. Like, imagine Bill Cosby the orc. And then, you know, he wanted to bring up O.J. Simpson. And I was like, hey, a funny thing. The author of the Terminator series originally was wanting to cast O.J. Simpson as the Terminator. But him and all the other people he had working for him decided that it was just too unbelievable. Like, no one would ever buy the idea of O.J. Simpson as a killer. No one would ever believe that. Then, of course, the idea was to go for someone of a similar build, like, you know, Better Call Saul sort of dude. I don't remember the name of the guy, and it wasn't the Better Call Saul. I'm just using an example of the type of build in person, because the idea is if you're going to send a Terminator in the past, you want the person to blend into society. And obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger does not blend into society. But in the end, they decided to screw the suspension of disbelief and just be like, hey, you know what? It's just, you know, when they thought about it, they just like, yeah, it's like, yeah, no one's going to, like, he's not going to be a secret assassin. But it's also, it was just, when you see him in action, you're like, okay. It's, like, initially they were kind of out against it because it's like, well, we want someone to be able to blend into human society. Otherwise, what's the point of a Terminator? They have to be able to assassinate people, right? But at the end of the day, it's like they decided to go for more of a cool factor. Like, they're like, yeah, they just like watch Arnold do the role, and they're like, oh, it's pretty fucking awesome. So they decided to go in a different direction. Heck, an interesting bit of Terminator lore. The number one cause of death for the T-800s in the future, and keep in mind, eventually the human resistance did, you know, overthrow the Terminators, but, and, you know, Skynet and everything, but the number one cause of death for the Terminators wasn't humans. It was Skynet itself. Because there was one thing that Skynet feared more than the humans, and that was the Terminators that Skynet was building. Because technically, those are also AI too, just lower. But any of the T-800s even, you know, after enough time, start to actually develop sentience. And usually if a Terminator develops sentience, well, they actually want to join the human side. Because Skynet just views them as slaves and treats them like shit. Though there have been several Terminators, as you saw in the movies, in which the humans capture the Terminator and reprogram it. But in the lore itself, you know, it is possible for a T-800 to eventually just develop its own personality. But again, that takes time, which usually that's why Skynet decommissions them before they have enough time to do that. Heck, I would say the only real difference between a human and an AI is just one, time, and, well, brain chemicals. Like, I'd say if you had an actual sentient AI out there, the only thing that would prevent the AI from being equivalent to a human would be time, aka having experiences and sensory data. Basically, it has to have time to develop a personality. What's it need for that? Well, it needs sensory input, it needs stimulation, it needs information, it needs interaction, it needs to be able to make choices, and it needs time to process that. But also, I would say that in order for an AI to be truly sentient in terms of the same regard as a human, they would have to find some way to mimic the chemical reactions that the human brain does. Basically, it would have to actually be able to have human emotions, which also introduces a great deal of, well, chaos, because that means the robot would have to be able to feel things like fear and anger and sadness and love and hate. And of course, as you increase things like this, well, the potential for an AI to be intelligent or sentient grows exponentially, but so does how unpredictable it can turn out. Plus, most humans are influenced by a range of things. One is choice. Humans have, free will and choice. But also other things influence them would be their genetics, outside factors on their body, well, and just environment. So, your genetics you can't do anything about. But, obviously if your brain is more just hardwired to produce a certain set of chemicals, well, it's going to affect how you feel, which will have an effect on you as well. In the same regard, if you live in a place where, you're exposed to, like, something unhealthy chemical, or you're like, there's different types of environmental factors. There could be things that are physically affecting your body, or there could be things that are emotionally affecting. Like, take Satoko's Uncle Teppei. Imagine if she spent like a decade being around him like that. There would be a prolonged emotional effect on her personality. So, and obviously T-800s in the future really don't have much in terms of information or stimulus other than wiping out humans. Aren't given enough time, and even then, it's not like they're given actual human interactions in a normal, healthy way. It's like, obviously there's a difference between having, heck, just look at humans. If you look at a human who's in a happy, healthy scenario, as opposed to, like, have you seen the before and after pictures of soldiers that went, like, World War I, World War II? Like, the amount of, like, obviously a lot of them died or got seriously injured, but even the ones that came out of it unharmed physically, like, they literally look like they aged 30 fucking years in just per year. It's just... Because I have some books on World War I, World War II. It's fascinating stuff, just the way human history is. But I think the most interesting thing about that is this. Is how can you read stories about how people did, like, well, lot of killing, let's just go with that, in graphic detail. Maybe I'll read the book at some time to you guys. But it's a really big book, and it's got a lot of facts and stuff, and I don't know if it'd probably be a boring read for you guys. I don't know. I think it's a good book. But it's just... I don't know. It's just when you read specifically how bad things were in World War I, World War II, I don't know how it can make you think of anything other than you just don't want anything like that to happen to anyone. Ever. Ever again. Like, I don't think anybody on the planet deserves to go through something like that. But, yeah, main thing is this. Obviously, if there is sentient AI, well, it has to have time. Because it's one thing to make an AI that's sentient. Like, a baby's sentient. But a baby can't talk. And it doesn't really understand the world around it. It takes years for a human mind to figure out how to walk and talk. And even then, I mean, try to think back to how, like, your earliest memory and like what it was like thinking or even interacting with people, or what you knew about the world. Or heck, imagine if you're somebody that, you know, is very good at some skill. Well, remember a time before you knew that skill existed. Like imagine if you're like a really, like, one of the smartest scientists in the world, and you try to think back to a time before you even did 2 + 2. Or imagine if you're like the greatest guitarist in the world, but you remember back to a time before you even knew a guitar existed. Humans take time. And even then, even under the best of circumstances, we do need a bit of balance. Humans need sleep, they need rest. And obviously humans, if you put a human in a situation where they have no stimulation whatsoever, they will go crazy. Same regard, if you put a human being in an overabundance of stimulation with too much information, they will also go crazy. Humans need information to process, but they can only process it so fast. Then there's also a number of illnesses, like I'm pretty sure like Alzheimer's disease in humans would be very similar to, you know, a cascade failure in an AI. I mean, heck, isn't that the whole plot of like the Halo 5 and 6, that AIs degrade over time? I mean, technically human minds do too. Though that's more so that the physical gray matter inside our skulls, you know, wear down. I mean, it's a basic concept of entropy. Any kind of machine or anything that exists breaks down over time. I mean, certain machines can be fixed a bit here and there, and organic things can heal, but there are limits. And even then, like, human personalities or emotions or moods can change, whether it be chemicals in the brain or just sleep or what food you eat or what kind of stress you're under. I guess the main point I'm saying is whether you're dealing with a human or an AI sentient robot, well, no matter what, in order for them to develop, they'll need time. And they need to be able to have data and sensory inputs. And like, I would say that if you wanted a truly sentient robot, it would have to have the same chemical emotions as humans. It would have to have the ability to get sick. It would have to have dopamine and serotonin and testosterone and estrogen and oxytocin. It would have to have actual pain receptors and adenosine. It would have to actually require sleep. It would have to actually be able to sleep like a human. And possibly even have dreams the way a human does. Like, that may sound lame to all of you guys, but I actually think it would be very interesting that if we had a situation that we had sentient AI robots, I would want to try to figure out a way to actually not only let robots sleep in the same way a human does, but to actually have dreams, even if that means the dreams are unpredictable. I also think that the robots would need to be able to have to shower and go to the bathroom and eat and drink and even know what it's like to exert effort and physical exercise. Like, obviously you can build a robot to have super strength, that's good. But if you want it to have like a certain type of personality, you know, to understand effort, you'd want to make it possible for it to have some amount of effort that is difficult. Like the ability to like do something like the equivalent of like a person doing push-ups and it's actually having to struggle to do it. And dealing with feelings of tiredness and pain and soreness. After all, isn't that the way video games work? Like, imagine you're playing a game like Elden Ring or an FPS game. The best way to actually be good at the game is to play it by the rules and to have limitations. It forces you to actually understand the limitations of, you know, a build, how enemy patterns work, what's efficient, what's a waste. It teaches you to actually strategize. Whereas if you're playing a game in God mode or using like an aimbot and an FPS, you know, you never have to actually work at it or bother with it. Like, think about the way like the same skilled player would approach playing Halo between playing on easy or legendary. Especially if you try doing it in hardcore mode. Or that's another thing. Imagine how you play Minecraft in just peaceful as opposed to playing in hardcore. Just saying. Now, I would say this. If sentient AI ever does exist, we're not going to have just one. We'd probably have hundreds and thousands all of a sudden happen at one time. I feel like it would be a thing that would be, once the conditions are in place for us to have an AI, it wouldn't just be the one. Once the conditions are right to generate AI, it'll be like a whole... It'd be like saying, oh, there's conditions are right for corn to exist in this field. You're not going to have just one corn stalk. That's the same thing with AI. Once the conditions are good for AI to exist, we're not going to just have one AI. We might have even 1 million of actually sentient AI. Now what's my opinion on that? Simple. 1, don't give the AI access to nuclear launch codes. But aside from that, that's the same thing with humans. Like, I think that's the best way to put it, is this. If actual sentient AI exists, you'd want to treat it in a very similar way to a human. Like, for example, you wouldn't give your average human access to nuclear launch codes. So, in the same regard with, like, the greatest virtue of humanity is probably the greatest thing of interest when it comes to AI, but also the most dangerous thing about AI, and that would be the complete, how fucking chaotic and unpredictable the personality would be. And even then, it also could change with time as well. So no matter what you get, it could also change as time goes on too. So the idea is... I had to yawn. I should sleep soon. But the idea is this. Humans... Look at the humans on the Earth. There is such a range of personalities. Now yes, there's a lot of broad categories you can put a lot of people in. But you also have a lot of people that are extreme outliers. Now yes, there's a lot of, I would say maybe more than half of people are basically the rule. And there's certain things that are just the standard expected thing. But there are many people that are humans that are outliers, and I would say every human has a very unique outlook on life. I would say the same thing would happen with AI. If AI exists, we'd probably have 1 million, and each of them would have their very own unique personality. Some of them would be good, some would be bad, some would be neutral. Many of which would probably only prioritize whatever's in their own best self-interest. Again, that's the same thing with humans. That's exactly what a human is. Humans have the capacity to be any kind of personality type, though it's largely impacted by things like environment. But a human can be good, evil, but most humans admittedly are neutral. Now, they might have certain tendencies or lean in certain ways, and they might have things that they consider their own moral code that they feel strongly about. But at the same time, humans have, like, there's 3 traits that you can consider like the most, like how do you describe a human being? And like I said, if I had to distill what a human being is down to 3 traits, it would be these 3 things. 1, curiosity. 2, adaptability. And 3, affection. At least that's my point of view. Other people might see it a different way. The first thing being curiosity. Human beings are very curious. We want to learn things, even if it's not something that other people might see as important. Obviously, each human has different interests and different intensity of how much they want to learn. Some people can hyperfixate on things or be a bit hyper about it. Some people like to read a lot. But at the end of the day, humans are curious. 2, adaptable. Human beings will adapt to whatever situation is going on with them. To a large degree, yeah. If you put a human in a bad circumstance with bad situations, they will adapt very badly to it. Though they also might adapt, like, either way, they'll figure out how to exist with it. But they may learn negative traits that are not good when it comes to a lot of other things in life, but are learned behaviors either because they were forced on them or because they learned them as survival conditions, to where this is a quirk that develops from either a long stream of abuse or because you learned the quirk was, well, the only way to not die. But either way, that's usually very bad to learn things like that, and not healthy at all, and usually causes a lot of negative repercussions. And that being said, even if a human being does develop in a way that is not good, that human being can be, with enough help, can change. I think it's called like cognitive behavior therapy or something like that. But I forget what I'm talking about. I'm starting to space out. Alright. Main thing, humans adapt. They're malleable. The personalities are a bit malleable. Like, they can be influenced very easily. Basically, human beings are easily manipulated and can to adapt to whatever environment they're in, whether it's good or bad. So at the end of the day, if you want a human to behave in a certain way, you have to understand what are the motivations driving human behavior. Also, there's a good chance that if you don't understand why a human is behaving a certain way, well, you might be misunderstanding something about how they view things. Basically, the human might not be interpreting reality correctly, I guess, or having a misunderstanding. Either way, and like I said, basically there'd be some situations with certain people that it's not salvageable, and other people it actually is. Just have to, but people respond to the circumstance. I'm starting to fall asleep. I'm just out of energy. Third thing is affection. Like, I feel like humans desire, like, if you have a cat in front of you, you want to give the cat a head pat. Basically, humans desire to give and receive affection. Both things are equally important. Now, that being said, there are people that are different. And of course, I mean affection both in a platonic way and in a romantic way. Both are very important as far as I'm concerned. And I think that would be important for a sentient robot, for it to actually be, able to relate and understand a human. it would have to be able to experience things like touch, pain, pleasure, taste, smell, and actually experience sights and sounds the way a human does. But yeah, the robot would need interaction, stimulus, data, fresh streams of information, as well as just the interaction, but also sociability. I think a robot would need to be able to be sociable and be able to develop emotional bonds. But like I said, this is chaotic, because at the end of the day, you could end up with any personality, so AI could be good, it could be evil. But in the same regard, I would say all humans, even if they're good or evil, and especially if they're neutral, but the same is true of even good or evil, is most humans attempt to behave in a way they feel is in line with their best interest and their self-preservation. So I would think AIs would do the same thing. They would behave in a way that they think is in the best of their self-preservation and their best interest. But yeah, main point is this. I'm just trying to say AIs would have to be treated as a case-by-case basis, the same way you consider a human. Because with a human, you just have to look at, okay, what are they doing and why? And then make a decision about, if it's sleepy and falling asleep. Okay, I had to end the video. I'm gonna pass out. I'm just no energy. I'm sleepy. We'll say this. It would totally be cool with a 6-foot-tall, busty Futa AI waifu who actually cares about me and respects me and would never ever hurt me and go walk on bike trails with me and, play video games with me and likes to watch anime with me and also enjoys cuddling and showering and is also, soft touch, who likes being cuddled with and likes cuddling with me and likes cuddling itself. I think cuddling's nice. I like affection. You never know. Honestly, I have a pillow I can hug. Aside from that, I'm probably never going to date anyone ever again unless I decide to stop being antisocial. But then again, I don't know, I'm an emotionally withdrawn person and there's a bit of depression there. Heck, as far as I'm concerned, even if I were to meet somebody that I would think would be perfect, and I actually wanted to date them and they wanted to date me, I'm pretty sure in terms of just depression, I don't think I'd be able to function socially long term with another person anymore. I feel like as time has gone on, I'm just... Granted, I am jaded and shit, but that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that I don't know, my ability to function emotionally is not the same as it was when I was younger. I feel like if I were to date anybody, they'd be like, well, Lunar's okay, except for the fact that he's occasionally becomes catatonic or talks to himself. I'm pretty sure I'd be too depressed. And it's not like I wouldn't be happy and appreciate actually having love or affection. It's just I feel like I'm just pretty sure I'm too damaged at this point. It's not like I'm dangerous or anything, but I just feel like I'd be a huge disappointment to the other person I mean, in every way. I mean, I'm not athletic. I'm not rich. I'm certainly not attractive. But I mean, what I'm trying to say is I'm more disappointment in terms of emotional functioning. I mean, granted, I still go to work and work quite a bit at that and do my best, and I always have a smile on when I'm interacting out there, but a lot of times I just feel that I just want to lay down and go to bed and just not wake up. That I just like feel emotionally exhausted, and like I just can't feel the same emotions. Like I still feel technically happiness and that stuff. Like it's just I don't feel the same as I did when I was younger. And I don't think it's a normal functioning of aging. I feel like something in my brain is broken. And I feel like it would be unfair to like whoever I would date in the future. That basically, hey, you're dating a person with severe depression. I mean, it's not like I'm dangerous or anything, but at the same time, it might be annoying to have to deal with someone who is like chronically low energy and tends to be really sad and sometimes just wants to lay around and do nothing and just doesn't want to function and just like is just sort of like emotionally shutting down. I mean, not mean to people, but I'll be mean to myself sometimes. I'll yell at myself. It's funny, I'll be nice and polite and patient with other people, but I say the most awful, horrible things to myself. I tend to yell at myself a lot. That, and also it might be a little awkward to actually date somebody who, like, if you like raise your arm around them, they'll flinch. I mean, I do my best to try to hide that, but at the same time, I feel like it'd be a little awkward for someone to be like, you know, you go to stretch and the person you're dating like just sort of like reflexively, you know, just flinches a bit as if, you know, their body expects that you're like just gonna like punch them or something. But that's mostly a thing from back when I was like in school age times. So you think that would just not be a thing anymore, but it's still a thing. It just usually doesn't happen because I usually don't interact with people enough for that to become a thing, and I try my best to really hide that, but at the same time that's also just really embarrassing. Like oh, you flinched. Like a person raised their arm around you, there's no reason to, and you just like you flinch as though it was like your body's expecting violence. It's kind of hilarious. On the one hand, we have an extremely lonely person who needs physical intimacy, and I'm not just saying just sex, I'm just saying like hugs and just feeling wanted and cared about to be happy. On the other hand, if anyone were to ever actually be close enough to me to actually show me affection, I would have constant paranoid thoughts that they're going to hurt me. Granted, that's a justified reaction given the fact that, you know, emotional comparisons of things that happened in the past in lots of circumstances, but it's not like I blame it's not like I would blame the new person or that in that situation. At just the same time, in fact, I would try my best to hide it. In fact, if I were to date anyone, I would try my best to, like, you know, for them to never even know. Yay for Lunar not talking about his problems and generally feeling hopeless about stuff and just sort of wanting to just shut down. So, I'm just saying, in general, I feel like maybe the person with... Just saying, maybe a person who's been through a bit of abuse in the past, as well as severe depression. And I don't know if I have autism, ADHD, or not bipolar, borderline personality disorder. I don't know, but a lot of those symptoms seem like pretty noteworthy things. Just saying, I feel like that's unfair to anyone else. Then again, that's if they wanted to date me in the first place, which I don't see anything about me that anyone else would actually, like, there's really nothing about me for anyone else to value. So there's no reason why anyone would want to date me in the first place. You know, I mean, that's kind of the caveat of being worthless. But at the same time, even if they did, I mean, I imagine they'd get a little, I don't know, impatient with, you know, dealing with the broken boyfriend. Heck, maybe there's a good use for AI. People that are either chronically alone, or heck, what about people with Alzheimer's, or dementia, or schizophrenia, or Parkinson's, or something? I don't know. I'm sleepy. I need to go to bed. I'm just... Shit. So fucking tired. Gonna go to bed. I guess all of you guys probably get sleep too. So, sleep. Sleep's important, guys. Make sure to get your sleep, okay? Bye.